All right. Now that we have talked about making observations and gathering information or doing research, we're going to talk about the next step of the scientific method, which is developing a hypothesis. Now, it's important to remember as we talk about the scientific method that these steps aren't necessarily checkboxes that you have to do and complete with whatever research or question you're trying to answer. But these are steps that just kind of guide our thought process. So now that we're on to hypothesis, essentially a hypothesis is an educated guess. It's a question or a statement that describes what we think will happen or what we think is the cause of whatever our question is. But one of the most important parts about this hypothesis is that it is testable. So this is something that you can go and you can experiment or you can observe and actually see exactly what is happening. And there's a couple of different categories within the test that we'll talk more in depth later on, but there are tests that include numbers. These are the quantitative categories, things like temperature, mass, etc. These sort of categories all have a number, such as 100 pounds or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That all makes sense. Now there's the other category. So numbers are quantitative, and then we have our qualitative. Which fall in categories like color, where we will have blue or green or other colors, and there's plenty of others that fall in this category. Most often, what we do in science are numbers related, but occasionally there will be things within this qualitative category. Now, like I said, we'll get into this stuff much later on, so don't focus too much on our numbers and colors just yet. The important part right now is your hypothesis statement is testable. Okay? Now here's a couple of questions as examples. Our first example is going to be a not good question. As scientists, we need to make sure we ask good questions. So our first one, remember, this is a not good question. And this question is, what is the meaning of life? Now, that's a very deep question that you may be asking yourself, who knows? But the reason why this is a not good question is this answer will vary depending on who you talk to. This is very close and very much an opinion. Got to spell it right. Opinion question. Not a scientific question. Now here is a good scientific question that is a real question that has been asked. So we'll say good question. Why are most airplanes light in color? When I say light, I'm talking about white, yellow, other light colors. And there's actually a very good answer to this, but this is a very good scientific question because you can actually count planes, number of planes that are particular colors, that are, we'll say, white, yellow, blue, and you can go down the whole list and actually list there's X number of white planes and Y number of yellow planes and Z number of blue planes, so on, where you can count those and you can start an actual experiment to answer this question. It's actually really interesting where the paint color, you get some more numbers in here that all deal around the word pigment. The lighter the color, the less the amount of pigment is in that paint, which makes that plane lighter on its weight as well. So the darker colors, as you get into your blues and your blacks and your browns, and you get darker on that paint color, the paint actually weighs more than your lighter colored paints, where it's these bright colors that you most often see at the airport. And so it uses less gas on that airplane as it flies people from their different destinations. So these are some good questions that we can be asking ourselves. So a hypothesis is something that is testable, that is essential, something that's testable that you can actually look at, like, why are airplanes light in color? And then you're on your way to continue the scientific method.